My name is Kaida and you're watching Road 35 to Infinity. Welcome, another week, another video. I mentioned in my previous video that I'm doing a residency where I'm working on a solo, and I wanted to share the process and how it's been going, and I wanted to then therefore do this into two parts. So this is part one of my solo residency. Where do I start? I just really jumped into this video. To get started and to do things, especially creatively on your own, for me it's a tough process. With the training, for example, it's something that I've been on my own, and I've managed to set up a practice that works and that is continuously developing, and that is something I find exciting, and therefore after having been keeping it up for so long now, it's fun, it's motivating, and of course there are ups and downs, but I've got a hang of it. I can do it on my own. When it comes to creating with my dance, so in this case, to create a solo performance, that's a bit tougher. I can easily connect that to the fact that I don't have as much experience in creating stuff as I have with training. Then it's harder to find things that work for you and to be in a space on your own with yourself, with your ideas, with the pushing yourself. Yeah, it's been hard. I do like it. It's a different way of using my dance and my skills to create something that I then at some point would want to share with people. Luckily, I've been able to have conversations with friends that have created solos or also are more experienced in creating, how their process have been like, and that also helps to kind of put things in perspective. So just talking with others, that's always helpful with things that we do and that we feel a bit unsure about. Having those talks with me, and then really just being in a studio, I've started to see how I work. I do think a lot, and I do feel like I process a lot up here versus here. I start at a point where I would start with a blank paper and start writing down things that pops up in my head, and then I've started also to sketch these ideas out. In this scenario where I'm creating a solo, I'm not just gonna get up on stage and dance for X amount of minutes that my solo will last. I do wanna have the dance that is happening translate something I wanna share. The process that's happened now is that as I was gathering inspiration in terms of maybe watching footage of solo performances, even if it's just trailers or just watching dance on video, in combination with reading books related to either training, so that's connected to my overall practice, or what I mentioned in one other video, that I picked up this book called A Choreographer's Handbook, which has been quite helpful, finding inspiration when it comes to creating. So as I've been doing this, I noticed that in these moments, as I'm taking in information, my mind is already processing and going places. It's just providing me with images of ideas that I feel relates. I then either write it down or I pick up my phone if I have that next to me, and I start. By the way, if anyone is interested in having more of a more in-depth look into my process in how I created a solo, let me know in the comments below, and then I'll make sure to get to a video like that in the near future. I could already now just share, let me see, a bunch of folders. I made a note and I labeled it images that I would just see, write down what I saw, and then just a quick description of what it is and how. So I gave it a little title of exactly of what I saw, and then just a short description of what is happening in this image. And then I put my phone away. And then I kept on reading or watching footage or whatever I was in the middle of. And then maybe another image would pop up. And then again, I write it down. And like so, I collected information, or I collected my ideas, these images. Maybe some of these ideas can be connected, but I basically just took an idea and then went into the studio, like onto the floor, and I basically tried to perform this idea. I put on a song, either on random, or if I had a song that I had heard not too long ago that I felt gave me that vibe, I put that on and I just performed my solo. And I recorded it. And then I would look at it. And from what I could then see, I would then either, if it doesn't work at all, then I would leave it out. But if it was like, okay, there's something interesting here, or I feel like it's not that the idea is bad, but something's lacking. And then I would try to like write down things that I think would improve the solo. And then I would try again. So basically it's me giving myself a feedback, and then with that information I would then grab the paper of where I've sketched perhaps this idea, and I would make those notes and I would make these adjustments so that again it's clear, either by text, by me doodling, and then I would perform again, film it and watch. And this is what's been happening during my first week of my residency. Yeah, it's been a nice process because I allowed ideas to just take place, to just, okay, I'm just performing this idea. Now my process is to see how I can now take this chunk of an idea and just, refine it and make it as good as possible to then be presentable. Within the residency that I have, I was given a time frame, so it cannot be more than 30 minutes. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, like now I laughed for myself, thinking that 30 minutes is not something I will, reach, counting myself lucky if I would have 10 minutes. What happened was that overall I had 3 ideas, which I then would call either 3 chapters within this theme that I'm researching about and that I want that my solo revolves around. 3 chapters or 3 scenes. I had roughly 25 minutes of footage, so very close to 30 minutes, and this surprised me and also made me very motivated to also not limit myself with 5 to 10 minutes solo, but to actually, okay, I can actually, and again, it's not about the time, because I could do a 5-minute solo performance and it's hopefully it's amazing and leaves people with oh, wow, inspired, instead of having 25 minutes of okay, yeah, it could have ended 20 minutes ago. It would be nice to have a 20-25 minute solo performance, because then it feels like something like a proper solo performance. I'm also mostly used to solo performances in battle context, so that's the longest I have there is 1 minute, so 5 minutes would be 5 times that, and now working towards creating 20 to 25 times that. But yeah, so this is the beginning process, how I allowed images coming to my mind, taking a pause from whatever I was doing in the moment to make sure that I wrote it down, whether physically or on my phone. If physical, then I could also doodle some sketches to kind of make it visual alongside the text. When I then dive into the studio space to then sketch out this scene or chapter, as whatever you might want to call it, if it's clear-ish, then I would take that idea with me. I would pick out a song that I feel could fit the vibe, and I would then perform it and record it. And I would repeat this process with every idea that I have. I would then look at the footage and give myself feedback, really trying not to judge it because I know it's just an idea. So more thinking and looking at what are the possibilities. So if something's not working, is it lacking something? Adjust and then try again. And if something really doesn't work, I take that scene or that chapter and I put it away. I don't want to say throw away, because you never know, it might be able to come back in a different context, but I put it on the shelf. If I feel brave enough, and I did, to share this sketch with a friend or somebody that I feel, you know, would be nice to receive some feedback from, I also involved that feedback back to my sketching board, and I would adjust and then take this updated version and I would perform it again and see how that would go. And then also, of course, filming it. I'll repeat this process until, I guess I'll keep doing that until I have something solid. That's the start of my solo process. Whew. All right. So with that said, this is again part 1 of my residency and this week's video. Go out there, enjoy your practice. Let me know in the comments below how things are going for you. Any things that you're discovering in your practice that you feel like you would want to share, please do so. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video.